Back, it's still Business Morning here on Channels Television. Now, late last week, we got the news that the European Bank for Development and Nigeria is now officially a member of the European Bank for Development and formally admitted as a member of that bank, Reconstruction and Development Bank. And this is supposed to mark a significant step towards boosting private sector access to international capital and supporting the country's long-term economic transformation. Let's find out what this means for us in Nigeria, especially the private sector, since that seems to be the major focus here. And we have the managing partner at Escrow Wealth Investment, Mr. Ayodeji Onigbogi. Mr. Onigbogi, good morning and welcome to the program.
It's my pleasure being here. Morning.
Great. So, I mean, sometimes we just have this celebration of Nigeria being part of different bodies. So what does this mean, really, being a part of the European Bank for Reconstruction and Development?
Well, for Nigerians, at least Nigerians in the private sector, it's a good development. They will access funds that are cheap because, you know, our local funds are much more higher. We're doing about, even our MPR is doing 20-something%. But when you get access, when you're able to access foreign loans, you could get as low as 5-7%, single digits. And when you're looking at such loan, it will be long-term. So it's a welcome development. But it will basically for people in sectors that are mineral resources, agriculture, infrastructure, and probably financial institutions.
So these are, because, I mean, especially if you talk of mineral resources,
yes, oil and gas,
agriculture. I mean, these are two majors that Nigeria is seeking to diversify the economy too. So, I mean, if this is funding is available to businesses in this area, then that should make impact on the economy.
Yeah, it's a plus because, you know, when you're looking at for such body, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, they will use access a long-term fund. When I say long-term fund, we are talking of 5-10-year funding that will be guaranteed by either a Nigerian bank using the sovereign, Nigerian sovereign, as the main trust. But what we should look at is for people that are seriously minded in the private sector, is a welcome development. And I will expect everybody at this time to get their private consultant, people to talk to banks to see how they can access such funding. Because as we speak, European Bank for Development, since they were created in 1991, up to date, they've expended loans as high as 220 billion euros. But majorly for Africa, for European countries, some Asian countries, and the North America.
So now perhaps we'll have Africa joining that, represented by Nigeria.
Just like when Nigeria was absorbed in February, because they have to process several documents. After Nigeria was absorbed, other countries were absorbed. Cote d'Ivoire and Benin, our neighboring country, they too were absorbed into, those are the 3 African countries that are joined as we speak, while others are still looking at how they can be a party to where they can benefit from the relationship they want to have with the European banking.
So, you know, a lot of times what we find is that there are these platforms, an avenue for funding and other benefits for businesses, but they are hardly tapped. First of all, maybe because of lack of information being driven down to those who really need it. And then the other one will be accessibility. You just talked about it's for private sector, but they need the backing of banks.
Normally, it's natural. If you want to access any fund, even microfinance, you go through a microfinance bank. So if you want to access international funding, you go through either your local bank or bank of industry. You go for a local bank. Because when you want to transfer funds, they will not transfer funds to your account directly in euro. So they will transfer to your local account. So all the processes, the function that you have to do with a bank, probably it will involve Ministry of Finance, Central Bank, because these are documentations that involve national sovereignty.
But that's the fear that comes in, the bureaucracy that will come in.
Yeah, there will be bureaucracy, but have they given it a trial? Because normally this is not a Nigerian fact whereby you feel that, oh, you have to know someone. All your processes will be done in the UK because that's where they have their headquarters. And probably now they will merge us with probably Asia and the Middle East because they have sub-regional heads like CEOs, local CEOs. So if they merge us there, all your document will not be processed in Nigeria, but you might be feeling that probably you will not be accepted. Shoot your full figure, let them see your financials, let them see what you have done in the past, your track, and then probably you'll be fortunate.
But what kind of relationship should you have with the Nigerian bank for you to be able to access, since you have to go through the bank?
Okay, as an entrepreneur, the first relationship you must have a name. You must have the drivers of the business must have credibility, because now this is not a local loan, and it's going to be a fund whereby we are looking at 6 years, 10 years. So even if you are no more, the business can repay itself. So one of the things that is very important is for any businessman to be credible, because of when opportunities like this will come up. Because if you are not credible, I am very sure any Nigerian bank will not touch you, because of their own integrity. Because number one, you could access standby letter of credit lines, you could access other various types of loans you could access, but you will need a local guarantee, and that must be your bank.
And you know, you talked about the NPR.
Yes,
NPR.
of course.
So when you're now going through the local bank,
yeah,
does that not feed in, even though you have, you know, a softer interest rates from the international funding?
Yeah, the problem with Nigerian funding is we do 90-day, 1 year. We don't do 5 years, 10-year lending. And then it's only when you lend 10 years, 5 years, you could do what we call projection. And that's why for any political power in power now, we tell you that they want to do 4 years, and probably they want to do under 4 years. It's because of planning. It's much more easier for you to have a 2-year plan, a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, than for you to just have a 1-year plan, and before you even understand the business, you are gone. So it's much more better for us to assess long-term funding. Even if the first year, if you are making a mistake, by the time you do 2, 3, 4 years, you'll have gotten it right, and then you start making profits.
And that's what I'm saying, that because if businesses still have to go through the local banks, does our macroeconomic indices here, such as our NPR, doesn't it fit in? The bank will also need something out of all of this.
Yeah, what the bank will need is, I said you must have a track. Somebody that wants to do investment.
Don't they charge any interest or something?
Well, I don't know how that they might. They might, because of administrative purposes. They might. Because normally, even if you have to take in money from Bank of Industries, once it goes through the bank, there will be a mark. And the mark is to pay salaries, to pay other people that will be running costs. So there might be a mark, but the markup will be very minimal. Because if you are borrowing funds from abroad, probably you are borrowing $10 million at, let me say, 7%. What is 7%? When, if you are coming to Nigeria to borrow, you are borrowing at 25%. So it's much more easier. With the spread, even if the Bank Nigeria pulls 2%, that's just 9%. You are still home and dry. If you flog the $10 million in 2-3 months, 2-3 years, 4 years, you will have gotten it right. Because what normally kills Nigerian business is you want to buy some equipment in dollars, you source for local currency, you buy. After a while, when you want to repay, dollar shop is gone up. But if you buy, if you are bringing funds in dollars, you know that most of you want to do, especially for your fixed assets, you buy directly with dollars. You buy directly with dollars. So you will have hedged against a lot of issues. Then when you are repaying, you just make sure that some components of what you'll be doing will be dollar-based, so that it will be easier for you to repay the loan.
So this for you is a good opportunity for the private sector.
Yeah, it's a good opportunity.
And you don't see bureaucracy being a hindrance, since, I mean, it's mostly outside the country.
Yeah, bureaucracy might not play a major role, because all the documentation will not be done here. What Nigerian banks will just do is get your documentation, then you forward to where they will assess it.
And then on the other hand, you have this private sector, and they have to get these loans and operate here. We'll be talking about comparative advantage, overhead costs. Of course, they will still have to face those realities.
Overhead cost here is low, and I'll tell you what I'm saying.
Overhead cost in Nigeria is low?
Is low.
Wow, okay.
It's low if you want to compare it to other places. All our people going to America, London, is because they believe that with 1 hour work, they will make more money. So here, overhead is low. And that's why Chinese people come here. They have several factories.
Because people say when you put the need for infrastructure, especially power, into your overhead costs. It's not low.
Power is huge. Power is huge. But what you are going to base everything on is, yeah, when we are talking of the long run, for most equipment, you don't shut down equipment. So if you don't shut down equipment and you maximize what you have, in the long run, you will be making money. It's only the businesses you are doing, if it's a business whereby there are times that you shut down. Once you don't shut down, and it's a continued process that you're doing, every day you turn in something, you turn out something, chuck out something. At the end of the day, you'll be making profit. Because everything is a function of what you buy is what you sell. What you produce is what you sell. And the more you produce, because we have a lot of population in Nigeria, the more you produce, you sell to Nigerians, you sell to neighboring countries.
Well, I must say this is a new notion for me, that overhead cost is not expensive in Nigeria.
It's expensive, but it's not the way people claim it is. Because it is very expensive, all companies will have died.
Yeah,
yes.
But that's why even manufacturers have complained of their stockpiles, their goods, inventories, being left fallow, because they obviously have to pass on the cost to consumers. And consumers' purchasing power has reduced over time. So, I mean, they're not able to purchase as much as.
Let me say, somebody getting money is into agriculture. He gets crops. If he gets to a point whereby he cannot sell his crops, then he will start to now bottle them, do packaging. Because everything that's going to happen is that when you have money, you have better ideas to do other things. What started packaging industry, it was because of wastages. So if I have a mango plantation and I discover that in a particular season I could only sell probably half of what I produce, then that shows I have to have a mango plant, a mango bottling plant, so that I can process and probably push to other markets.
Yeah, but I mean, even having the processing plants, you also need capital for that. You need skills and labor for that also.
Yeah, I'm not saying that. Assuming you get this fund, you start a mango plantation, and you feel that your mango plantation within 1-2 years that you have checked, people don't buy them within that year, that half of them get wasted, then that's why I'm saying you cannot start a mango processing plant, because you know that you can only sell this to the market that you have, but there is another market that you can preserve those for. Off-season, then you sell.
All right, so you're saying that this private investment of private sector funding might actually encourage value chain, value addition. Thank you so much. Yeah. We do hope so. We do hope so. Thank you so much for your time and your views, Mr. Ayode Jonigogi, the managing partner at Escrow Wealth Investments.
It's my pleasure. Morning.
All right, let's take a break. When we come back, talking about diversification of Nigeria's economy, a lot of things going on, a lot of conversations going on. I'll tell you about it after the break. Please stay with us.